let's get our weigh-ins done.
228.
This is Janae.
202.
Crystal, 119.2.
301.5, Kristen Teeter.
139.2.
Carmen, 175.5.
We have some standings. Okay. So this week, in first place, after 4 weeks, losing 3.1 pounds last week while traveling, 13.7 altogether, 7.47%. Paula, first place, reclaim the spot, girlfriend. Awesome, awesome job. Awesome job. In second place, losing 1.8 pounds, 9.6 altogether, 7.44%. Crystal, second place, girlfriend. In third place, down 3.8 this week, 22.7 pounds in the past 4 weeks, 6.87%. Kristen, I know she's been fighting, man. She's like the eye of the tiger. She's like, come on. She's like, I want to get to that first place spot. In fourth place, losing 5.4 pounds this week. What the frick, Aisha? Down 17.4. 6.77%. Aisha, you were the biggest loser this week. Awesome job. I know they're all going, whatever. Oh, all right. In fifth place, down 2.5 this week, 13.2, 6.43%. Jennifer Strickland, fifth place. In sixth place, down 2.8 this week, 8.6 altogether, 5.75%. Kayla, sixth place, girlfriend. Good job. Seventh place, down 0.6 this week, 12.2 altogether, 5.46%. Seventh place, Melissa. Eighth place, down 3.2 pounds this week, 10.7. Freaking pregnant, kicking butt, taking names, moving up to eighth place, Sarah, 4.49%. Good job.
Yay, I got out of 10.
Awesome job. In ninth place, holding steady this week, down 9.2 altogether, 4.38%. Janine, our tropical blue girl back there. And up 2.2 this week, down 7 altogether, 3.72%, Jen Ratchford. And so total this week as a group, you guys lost 21.9 pounds. In the past 4 weeks, 128.2 pounds. 10 women from all across the US and Canada. 4 weeks, 128.2 pounds. That is kind of incredible. Amazing job. I gotta be honest with you. This is one of the weeks I look forward to the most. Not in the moment, because it's a tough week, typically, historically, for the cast, but it's one of the weeks that the most growth comes out of. And there's always all different levels of growth, depending on how much you go for it. Because, we talked about a couple weeks ago that words are seed. Words are seed. And what words get planted into the ground, they sprout. So we had a woman from a past season And when she was little, someone told her, made her look in the mirror, made her look at herself and said, "You're fat, you're disgusting." When she was a little 8-10-year-old girl, at 40 years old, she would still look in the mirror. Seeds were planted involuntarily into her. At 40 some years old, she would look in the mirror and say to herself, "You're fat, you're disgusting." And it wasn't until this exercise that she went back and said, "Wow, I've been repeating these women's words over and over and over again for 2 decades. And so words are seed. You know, and we live in a world where people are cruel. People say stuff, people give looks, people assume things. And we also live in a world where we are cruel to ourselves. Some of you can look in the mirror and rip yourself apart quicker than anybody else. But you're never gonna get to where you're going by hating the body you have. You're never gonna get to where you're going by looking in the mirror and being like, "Hey, thunder thighs. Hey, chubs. God, you're fat. You can't wear that. That looks disgusting." Because criticizing yourself is a habit. It's a habit. Most people think, well, if I was at my goal weight, I would never criticize myself. Yes, you would. If you look in the mirror and criticize yourself now, there's no number you won't criticize yourself at. Because the issue is the lenses you have on your eyes. It's how you choose to see yourself. If you don't like your weight, do something about it. That's my philosophy. But your weight doesn't define you. Your weight has nothing to do with who you are. You being overweight doesn't make anybody disgusting or gross or ugly. That's why I don't like the word fat. Oh, I just don't like it. It's just so derogatory. And some of you have owned the label of fat, big boned. Some of you have had people tell you you're big boned. And some of you have those seeds were planted in the ground. And you've been hanging on to the "I'm big boned. I could never get down to where you're at, Carmen. I look disgusting." Some of you have had people say that to you. When are you going to stop? You're going to look sick. You're going to look you have cancer. You're going to look you have chemo. So this is our chance, because we can't move forward. We can't fully move forward until we get rid of the junk in the trunk. We can't fully move forward with these cinder blocks tied around our ankles, in our waist, holding us, pulling us backwards. I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to beg you to go all in on this. It can only keep you held hostage. It can only keep you captive if you don't shine light on it. As soon as we deal with it, as soon as it gets out into the open, it no longer can hold you hostage any longer. When you realize these are just words, and in most cases, they were somebody else's words, said out of their own hurt, their own fears, their own judgments against their own self. And most of the time, they had nothing to do with you.
My list wasn't about being fat. It was actually more about being skinny, because when I was skinny back in the day, it was a lot of sexual comments. There was molestation. There was, when you turn 18, call me, all these. And sometimes I didn't even realize how bad they were at the time. And, I'm 13 kind of situations going on. And then I was molested from 16 to 18. So that really triggered me in the sense of I have more of a fear of being skinny than being fat. And so this week I've been working on the whole mindset of okay, first of all, I'm not 18 anymore. But I did have an incident like 6 months ago where this whole thing was brought up again. And I've actually had a lot of conversations with Aaron about this because I hide behind my fat, and more because of the hurt that it's caused me than what. No, I don't want to be viewed as a sex symbol. I don't want the attention of that. Those are my triggers, and it's safer to be fat and fluffy than it is to be skinny.
Hi. Okay, so one of my things is I use humor to mask all these things, and I know this about myself, so I'm always kind of trying to laugh it off, right? Like, call me fat, I don't care, like that kind of thing. And of course I care, but like I've always used humor to or sarcasm, or just like laughing at myself with someone, so that so that it doesn't feel like someone's laughing at me, I'm laughing with them. So I know that is something that I just do, and that I've got to work on that, like not putting myself down even in a joking way. But some of the things that have been said to me are, of course, you're just big boned. At least you have a good personality. You really let yourself go after you had kids. Trying to use, or these are things the next three are things I've said to me. Trying to lose this weight is useless. You always try and never succeed. You're a failure at weight loss. Why even try? You never follow through. You'll always be chubby. It runs in the family, right? Like I've told myself that. And then I've heard other people have said to me, you can't lose weight after 40. Once you hit 40, your metabolism's too low. You won't lose weight after 40. Your hormones are the reason you're fat. I've told myself that one. You've tried that before and it never works. You'll be eating donuts again in a week. Someone said that to me on a different diet I was on. And then my favorite, which is the worst one, we were at a gas station a few years ago, and a guy that my husband went to school with said, "Congrats, man. What did she do?" I was not pregnant. And I wanted to kill that man.
My list is a bit long. I've been overweight my entire life. So let's just dive into it. One of my earliest memories is my grandfather. He would do it numerous times, poking me in the side. Look, she's got no bones. And I didn't understand until I was much older that was actually an insult. Kids in kindergarten, for some reason, calling me 100-pound guppy, whale girl. Kids singing "Just Eat It" at me. As I'd get on the bus going, the fat Albert, hey, hey, hey. And then everybody saying, "Oh, get on the other side of the bus. She just got on." More recently, she's got skinny kids because she must eat all the food. Beached whale alert. That's even more self-imposed if I go to the beach, or when we went on a trip. I didn't want to get in the pool on the cruise and things like that because I just no confidence. When I was younger, like early teens, very early teens, about 12, 13, my mother'd walk into a department store. "Where's the fat lady department?" And even though she was plus size as well. Watch your fingers if she's hungry. We better call ahead to make sure they have enough food at the smorgasbord. They might need to refill the pool if she jumps in. You lost 50 pounds. I didn't want to say anything because I thought you had gained weight. I heard there was an earthquake in Japan. Have you been doing jumping jacks or running? Calling me Miss Piggy a lot when I was younger. Don't know if you'll ever get married. You don't have the looks, brains, or personality. Yeah, that's really about all that I could put on there.
So I was struggling to come up with anything before high school, and that wasn't really making sense to me because I was like, this can't be. I've been big my whole life, and I couldn't quite understand why nothing was coming to mind. I got a list of things from high school and beyond, but then I realized I was clueless. I was completely clueless. Even though as a kid I was overweight, I've been overweight my whole life. My mom specifically, I don't remember my dad saying it ever, but I'm sure they all joined in on it. But I was always big boned and very muscular. And I grew up on a farm, and we chucked straw bales and hay bales, and, we shoveled like pens and pens and pens of pig manure. And I was really strong. Like, I have a shot put record to prove it. I have a discus record to prove it. Like, I have weightlifting records to prove it. So like, I kind of went along with that. And I was clueless that I was overweight till I got to high school. Cause I also went to a really small school. I was really sheltered. And when I got to high school, it was like all the emotions, all the things. And all of a sudden I was fat. All of a sudden I was the biggest girl in the class, bigger than most of the boys even. And it was a lot of self-sabotage because I was so concerned with still being in the cool group. So I did it to myself. But specifically, like when my dad would get upset, when we would be like moving animals around outside and they weren't cooperating, and maybe I wasn't doing what he wanted. Like, my dad was good at losing his temper. He would go for a while and then he'd snap, and like he would holler names, and you think he's just mad, he's hollering names, but like I would always get called slow. I would always get called lazy, and they always went together. And we'd literally be running animals outside. I'd be out of breath because we're running, and I'd be called slow and lazy while I'm running. Then we graduated high school, and a bunch of my friends went to college and I did not. And so I was like really insecure about that. And I was out with some friends at their college, but I am not a college person, and I'm overweight. And these boys started mooing, and I automatically assumed it was me. And I was like, what's your problem? I got super defensive. And then they mooed right to my face, like right in my face. And so I decked them and I got kicked out of the bar. And my friends wouldn't leave. They didn't want to leave. They were having fun. So I just sit outside by myself because some a-hole mooed at me. And so then from there, I proceeded to gain 100 pounds, and then I lost 100 pounds, and then I gained 100 pounds. I gained and lost 100 pounds 3 freaking times. And that became my identity. Like, I'm just really good at gaining and losing weight. Like, I remember the second time I lost 100 pounds, I was like, okay, I kept making jokes. This is when I was really getting funny. I kept making jokes. I was like, well, time to put it back on, because how am I going to lose it again? And I would say that over and over again. People would try to congratulate me on my weight loss. And I'm like, oh, just give me a minute. I got to put it back on so I can lose it again. Because that's like the fun little game I like to play. So that's what I got so far.
The earliest memory I have of somebody commenting about my weight was when I was probably 8 or 9 years old. I was at my grandmother's house, and they made a box of like Kraft macaroni and cheese. It was my favorite food. And my aunt was there, and I ate the whole thing, and they were shocked. And they sat me down to like do this intervention thing. And I had no idea what was going on. And so when I went home, I told my mom, like, I don't know what happened. I was like in trouble for eating the macaroni. And what I didn't know at the time is that my mom and her siblings, they all had some trauma growing up that led to eating problems for all of them. And my aunt was actually bulimic, and she actually died from that in her late 40s. So I guess that they assumed that I must have some eating problem, even though I was thin. I was like normal weight as a child. So that was my first clue that there was something off, and I didn't know what it was. I always had kind of a negative, a very negative self-image. And that started to, like, in my, things would confirm that to me. My mom and dad would say things, but those kind of things stand out, right? And at like every age as a teen, every year, she would compare her weight to mine and how she was thinner. And also at about, I think I was about 11 years old, there was a situation. It was a molestation. And nobody believed me. My parents did. They believed me. My dad wanted to kill him. And it just it then again confirmed for me that I'm bad. And there's something wrong with the way that I look and the way that I behave. And then, later I knew that I needed to lose weight. So I was trying to find ways to lose weight. And I went to Weight Watchers, and I came home and I told Tom, my husband, I was like, hey, I finally am doing something. Went to Weight Watchers. And he said, well, how much did that cost? And I told him, and he said, you have to pay someone to stop eating. I went and canceled it. I'm like, forget it. I'm just going to be this way the rest of my life. There's nothing attractive about me. There's, nobody wants me. Yeah. And so, there's a lot of themes in all of that. And it's just hard stuff.
I, unlike the others in the group, was the extremely skinny kid in school. I would have said those things that were said to Kristen, please forgive me, every one of you. I mean, I was that person. If you can look, I don't remember if Carmen was skinny when she was young, but when you look me in the eye, I mean, I am so sorry for those things that people said to you, from a skinny person to every one of you, for the judgments I made against you, for the mean things that you repeated over and over in your lives because of someone that was like me. So, I mean, I asked her to forgive me, and tonight I ask you guys to forgive me, because you're no different than any one of those people that I would have made judgments against. So I was skinny, and back to that, hopefully you all forgive me. And I was at the National Ballet School for my audition, and I was skinny. And we went there, and we went through the cafeteria, and like Melissa with her, remembering what her guy's wearing, I remember walking through that cafeteria. I mean, they were eating nothing. Their plates were there's nothing on them. And the lady looked at me and she said, you're going to need to trim down. I mean, it would be like me looking at Carmen telling her, you're going to need to trim down, Carmen. I said to myself, I don't want to look like I'm starving, because, when I thought I was a healthy weight, and I'm sure that at that moment I was not deception about being healthy weight. I mean, I was very athletic dancer, but at the ballet, you have to be a popsicle stick. So from that time on, I said, I said to myself that I was pudgy wedgy. I always told myself after I danced, when I had gained that weight, that I was big boned, or that I had a lot of muscle. Cause I surely underneath somewhere, the rest of this fat, actually someone did today to me, they're like, oh my God, you have the nicest calves. I was like, thanks. I was like, maybe they're getting uncovered. So, and then I always say my stomach kept all the fat. I think I said that in my video. And people have said to me, there's nothing wrong with you. Like when I shared I was going to be in this group, they're like, you're going to be so unhealthy, you don't need to lose weight. You're already in great shape, but you already know from my first week that I'm in the worst shape of everybody here. So, which is just silly. So that's what I came up with.
Very similar to Melissa. I was a shot putter and a hammer thrower in college. So we'll have to see who has the best record. No, I'm joking. But I mean, for my whole life, I was always very athletic. And really the turning point for me was actually after college, and not being able, but I ate terrible, but I work, I mean, I was in 3 sports. I always was in a sport. So I never really had a true weight problem. I was always thick. So I was never plus size, but it was until I got after, it just catches up with you when you have bad eating habits. And that's what happened. It caught up with me after college. And I just was all of a sudden like gaining the weight, and it like it wouldn't stop because my eating was bad. And so I never forget, my parents were always be like, wow, okay, you're starting to pick up some weight now. And, but I would still be trying to work out, but like, you can never outwork out a bad diet. You can never do it. Obviously when you're older. But some of the things that were hurtful, my mom said, this was kind of recent. She was just like, you have just gotten so big. It's always hurtful. Like nobody needs you to say anything. Nobody ever needs you to be like, oh, did you notice that? Yeah, I can't pick my panties. I probably do know, but I'm still trying to make it through life every day. It's like, I just always think about that. And then my niece, she's little. She's like she's like 6. And we were there for Thanksgiving. And she said, Auntie, you've gotten so big. I said, so have you. Look at your belly. Like it was, but it was just like, it was hurtful. It was hurtful how she said it in front of everybody. Like, and I'm like, don't, talk about me. But it still hurt, right? It still stung a lot because she just said it in front of everybody. Like, wow, Auntie, you've gotten big. I think I remember this one guy I was dating in college. He was just like, oh my God, all you need to do, if you do the Stairmaster, I didn't have a 6-pack, but I had I was probably a 14. And he was like, he said, all you have to do is some cardio. He said, the Stairmaster, and you'll be fine. But when I think me personally, having done a lot of diets, and like I probably have done Weight Watchers 13 times. Just really trying to find Nutrisystem, whatever. I was always trying to find something that will work. Dealing with this for 20 years, like after college, it's been hard. And I think that and it's I thank God for my husband. My husband's great, but I know there were other guys that may not have taken me as serious because I wasn't the smallest. And that kind of hurts. So, and the whole thing about being big boned, I think, or my father saying, we got, because my aunts were obese. And he would say, we can't eat carbs in our family. He still says that, like, no carbs, Aisha. Probably no, he's a recommender. You probably shouldn't eat any carbs. It's probably good not to eat any carbs. It's just, we got a lot of big people in our family. And I know for it was just for him, he was just trying to help. Yeah.
I guess 2 days after I was born, my dad tried to hang himself, and people would say that it was my fault because I was born, that he would try to hang himself. Like that was the joke. But he was a drug addict, alcoholic, and always suicidal. And then at like 2 days old, I was just with other family members. But since the time I was born, there was numerous sexual abuse. And so I blocked out a lot of my childhood. I do remember one around 6 or 7 years old. And I remember that family member. And then I had my first bad rape at 13. And then we lived in a small town in Indiana on a farm, and my parents up and moved to Vegas for their addiction. And when my dad went to prison and my mom became an addict in the streets, I got jumped into a gang by men. And then I got pregnant at 15, pregnant at 16, 18, 19, 21. I didn't give birth to all my children. When my mom was an addict and my dad was in prison, I had 4 brothers and a sister who turned to a lot of drugs and alcohol. So there was a lot of abuse from my siblings. But when I was 18 years old in high school and I had 2 kids, a teacher noticed that there was something wrong with me because, and this is one of the biggest things, is that because of childhood trauma, I couldn't learn. So I was like in special ed classes my whole life. And I didn't learn how to read until I was 21 years old. So I carried the label a lot that I was stupid. And with all the sexual abuse, that like I'm fat and I'm ugly and there's something wrong with me. I do think that the weight is dropping off now, to be honest, because I'm ready to deal with the emotional roots. And so that's why I think this time I know that I'm going to become healthy from the inside out.
So for me growing up, I had a lot of self-image issues because of things that people, because kids are mean, things that they did speak over you, even family spoke over to you. So I was a gymnast and I always had a wedgie because I had a flat butt. And so everybody would call me wedgie butt. And it's carried throughout the years. I just have one of those butts that everything likes to gather right in the middle, including underwear. So, you just choose to wear the right underwear that don't do so. I always had, my sisters were very skinny legged, like I used to call them spaghetti legs and they called me thick legs. As I got older, I ate unhealthy my entire childhood. Like I was an eater. And I loved sugar. Sugar was like my major, I stole $20 from my sister and went to the store and spent it all on sugar. And then as I got older and started putting on weight, I remember I'm on my 3rd marriage to an amazing, amazing man who would never, ever say anything about my weight to me. But my second husband, he used to always tell me I had an ass like a Shetland pony. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Like you think of a horse's ass, right? That's not a small little thing. It's a big thing. And then, people who would say, you could see your cellulite or look at your fat through that, like a dress, you could see through it and you could see your fat through it. So I had someone tell me at one point, like, you can see all your fat through that dress. Because I've lost weight over the years, on and off, is I can't believe you let yourself get back here again. I have no self-control. I'm too healthy. I'm not healthy. All you have to do, Jen, is lose it. Like, you just have to lose it. You know how to do it. Just stick with it and do it. Why do you care more for others than you care about yourself? I blame myself, not only for my health issues, but for my miscarriages. Because if I was thin, or if I was healthy, maybe I wouldn't have lost them. And then once I lost the weight, it was amazing how much judgment there was when I lost the weight. I'm too self-confident. I believe too much in myself. I would be judged by what I would wear by people who would wear so much less, but yet they would judge me for what I would wear. I'd be modest, but I would still be judged for my unmodesty. And then the biggest of how much more are you going to lose? You look so gaunt. You don't look healthy. And I remember there was one time that I had lost weight and I was gaunt looking. I didn't lose it healthy at all. But then the last time I lost it, everybody was, you're too muscular. Look at all, you've got things sticking out. I'm like, okay. So those were pretty much it, as well as, the biggest one is it's something you're just always going to have to struggle with.
I too have a self-image issue that I'm working into healing. Being told that my face was so ugly and that no one would ever want to see it, to look at it. That was from a teacher. It was that I was too skinny and too dark. So I grew up with thoughts that people with skinny, dark skin aren't attractive. And I've always wanted to be beautiful. This part's hard. Saying that I wasn't smart, like my other siblings, or being compared to others. That, my intelligence was good in another area, but not academically.
On behalf of all of those ignorant people that judged without knowing you, people that made you feel like you were worthless, people that made you feel like you were ugly, you were unseen, that you're somehow less than because of a freaking number on a scale, a tag on the back of a pant size, for the kids, for your grandparents, for your family, for yourself. Please forgive me on behalf of any words that have spoken against you in front of your face or behind your back, and things that you have said to yourself, ways that you put yourself down, ways that you beat everybody else to the punch to try to lessen humiliation. Please forgive me on behalf of every person who has ever spoken anything unkind and rude and freaking mean to you, about you.
Carmen, I forgive you.
I forgive you. I release you, and you owe me nothing.
I do forgive you. I do. And I have to let it go. And not let those seeds grow any longer.
I forgive you. I release you. You owe me nothing.
I forgive you. I release you. You owe me nothing.
I forgive you, Carmen, on behalf of those people, and I release you, and you owe me nothing.
I forgive you.
I'm choosing to forgive you, and I release you, and all of you will no longer have a hold on me.
Carmen, I forgive you. I release you and I bless you. And you owe me nothing.
Forgive you, Carmen. I forgive you. I release you and I bless you.
Bye-bye. I'm not sad to see it go. I'm so tired of holding on to this stuff.
Burning it has no more control over me, no more hold on me.